Welcome to the Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health podcast. I'm Ira Etla, medical astrologist, astroherbalist, and green witch. I was diagnosed with endometriosis at 19, and I was told I would never have children. I healed my body through the power of herbs, alternative health practitioners, energy healing, and more. At 28, I had the baby they said I would never have, without any interventions. I refused to believe that my body was not able to heal itself. Along this journey, I stumbled across medical astrology, and it resonated with me so much. I started down the path to learning this unique system that had been used for thousands of years in the medical community. I now help other women heal their bodies using their cosmic blueprint, the unique blueprint that every person has embedded in their DNA from the stars. This system helps me see what's going on in your body on a cosmic level and exactly how to help you give your body what it needs to heal itself. We are all uniquely and amazingly designed, and when we learn to work with our design, love ourselves for how we are designed to function, and integrate the cosmos into our lives, I truly believe that we can see true and lasting health brought into our lives. If you are ready to change your life, heal your body, and learn to deeply love who you are, this podcast is for you. Come join me as I discuss medical astrology, astronutrition, astroherbalism, health, wellness, spirituality, transformation, and so much more. I'm so excited you are joining me. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health. I'm Ire. I am your host as usual, and I'm here with Sara today. Sara and I are going to have a great conversation, and I am super excited for you to hear it. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you. I'm super excited too.
Yeah, so Sara and I met when she put out a post on Threads asking for like-minded people to come join her in like a group chat and do things like this, like podcast episodes and things together to get, more exposure to what we do. So why don't you explain to everybody kind of what it is you do, and then we'll kind of get going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a spirituality and trauma coach. Most of what I do is like trauma based, clinically informed. I have my bachelor's in psychology, a couple other things like that. And then professionally, I've been a drug and alcohol counselor, and I've done like behavioral health roles as well, like direct care staff, a lot of group therapy facilitation. And then like my more recent professional history was more like individualized treatment and like alongside groups. So I actually got really, really burnt out in corporate. I dealt with like bullying and stuff like that too. So, probably about 3 years ago, I shifted to like an entrepreneurship type
Mm-hmm.
of way of doing things instead. So I help people on the same kind of things. I just get to do it without like a horrible commute and all kinds of like things that stress me out so much. Like because I'm neurodivergent, so like I kind of have to build my life around
Mm-hmm.
like my needs, and I wasn't allowing myself needs when I was working in my field. Like I was working like 60-hour weeks while I was in college for this stuff.
Yeah.
So it was your girl needed to switch a lot, like change a lot. So yeah, that's what I do now. I meet with clients virtually, and we really just befriend and organize like your inner work. And I do a lot of IFS, internal family systems work with my
Mm-hmm.
clients. More of the psych education, like more of the education side and validating. It's just a supportive space and container that I provide, and I love doing it so much.
I wasn't officially corporate. I was a nurse, so I was in like a hospital system, but they're run by corporations, and it's very much
Mhm.
that same thing where you work yourself into the ground as one of their like cogs in the wheel, but they don't actually care that you're like, half dead, not meeting your own needs, barely able to function. And then there's so many bullies in the corporate space. There's like some kind of pipeline from like I was the mean bully in high school to now I'm a corporate, dudette or dude, and I'm mean as hell to everybody still. And I
Mhm.
don't know why that is, but it's also probably just the environment itself. It allows that toxicity to continue because people who do that and stomp on the others get rewarded, and those who don't get, the ones that get trampled on. And it's a whole like cycle that I am glad I am out of, and I am glad that you are too, because it is tough to survive in that when you're not designed to survive in that. And honestly, to be fair, I don't think anybody is truly designed to survive in those kind of situations, but there's some of us that are much more sensitive to that than others.
Yeah, that's the word I was gonna use, and I was repeatedly having to, talk to my boss about me being, like, sensitive, like,
Mhm.
"You need to work on your tone, you need to like, this tone stuff can't happen with me, like, this," you know? So, I'm very, very sensitive, and then, the spirituality part comes in with, in my own work, I kind of realized that because I'm sensitive, I'm also gifted, and along with that comes a lot of my spirituality work, so
Mhm. Yeah. You pick up on things a lot easier probably than other people
Mhm.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what your sun sign is?
Yeah, my sun is, Scorpio, so my sun, moon, and Mercury are all Scorpio, and I think my rising so my rising, my parents are unsure about my birth time, but I have gone back and
Mhm.
looked at, like, my personality as a child, and I think that that is also Scorpio too, because 'cause I'm on the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius, and I
Yeah.
just yeah, it's giving more Scorpio.
Yeah, as I say, you sound like someone with like a water sun, and you do have one because that's me too. I have 5 planets
Yeah,
in Scorpio. My sun, moon, Mercury,
gosh.
Saturn, and Pluto are all in Scorpio, and then I have a rising Leo. So everyone, because they see you as your rising sign first, so everybody
Mhm.
always like sees me as this like super outgoing, gregarious person who, for some reason, is like someone they want to like follow and like listen to. So like people would literally come to me
That's
for
the
their problems.
Leo.
Yeah, instead of
Just
like
the
my
Leo, yeah.
boss. I had so many bosses get so mad at me because they're like, "You're trying to take my position." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not doing anything. These people are literally just walking up and asking me questions when you want me to not answer them." They're like, "Yeah, basically." I was like, "Okay." So then I stopped helping
Yeah.
because and then they're like, "Well, people keep coming to me all the time and I'm totally overwhelmed." I'm like, "Well, you told me to stop helping people. Which one do you want? You can't have it both ways."
And that's so unfair that, like, we have to shrink ourselves so much so we're not, like, over upstaging someone else all the time when we're just trying to exist and it's like, "Oh, no, this person's gonna think that I'm, like, trying to upstage them," when I'm not, I just
Yeah.
am
I
doing my
literally
job
was not.
well. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I understand exactly where you're coming from. That's exactly what I experienced. Like, I just genuinely was passionate about my work and I really liked my clients and like it was just really natural to me. I wasn't paying attention to noise like that, like what other like counselors were
Mhm.
thinking of what I was doing or something like that until it was like, okay, I'm the most hated bitch here and I didn't even do anything.
Right? Oh, girl, I had
Yeah.
one manager that went, like, out of her way to, like, try to crucify me
Same.
in the workplace. She
Hmm.
stopped speaking to me at all, like, would not even in a professional setting. Like, I get, like, you don't wanna talk to me outside of work, we run into each other, fine, whatever, I don't wanna fucking talk to you either, so don't worry about that. But, like, when we're
Hmm.
working together, we have to be able to speak to each other, and she absolutely would not talk to me. And unfortunately, part of my job at that time was to actually have to go to her to get certain things cleared on what I was doing. I was still doing nursing, but I was working in like a surgery center and I was doing like the pre-op stuff for patients that were coming in. And so there were certain criteria these people had to meet because we were a freestanding surgery center. We weren't attached to a hospital. So if they were too like high risk, they couldn't be done at our surgery center because we needed them to have access to like a hospital and that kind of stuff, which we didn't have. So part of my job was trying to like screen that. Well, there was certain things that it was like, well, this person's like right on the cusp. So I had to get someone's approval above me to say yes or no. And so I would go to her with the stuff and she would not even, she would sit there on her computer, like typing away, completely acting like I wasn't there. I had to send a coworker to ask her questions and stuff about my patients that my coworker didn't even know because we split the list. So she didn't even have these people, hadn't spoken to him on the phone, and yet is trying to like get her, assessment of this situation because she would not speak to me. Uh, and it got so bad, I ended up going to HR about it because she started like literally singling me out to like just be mad about something all the time. I mean, it was just like it was ridiculous. It made it really hard to do my job. On top of her not speaking to me, now she's like actively like, being hostile and creating a hostile work environment. And I had
Mhm.
worked there at that point for almost 2 years, so I knew my job really well. I'd been doing it for a while. And I had been there the whole time with purple hair. Like my hair, it was purple when I interviewed. It was purple every day. Like nothing had changed in 2 years. All of a sudden, she's trying to write me up for my purple hair because it's against the policy. And I said, well, what policy? I said, you hired me in purple hair. She's like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, yeah, you did. My hair was purple when I came to the interview with you. You were the person I interviewed with. Like
What
I
is
was
with
sitting
the,
in that
like,
chair across from you.
weaponizing the dress code when they dislike you, when they start to dislike you now dress code is their number one weapon. Yeah,
Uh
I
huh.
went through that.
Yeah, and then she started telling me that the way my job was, we had to call patients about like their procedures and get the stuff. Well, we weren't per policy. It was just written into the policies. We were not allowed to start calling patients until at least 9 a.m. No big deal. They wanted me at work at 8:30. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't do anything until 9. So I would get there at 8:30. They were required us to change into their provided scrubs. So I would come in just like regular clothes and then go into the locker room and change. So I would get there about 8:20, 8:25. I would go ahead and change, then I go clock in. Well, then I would go and I would get like my water bottle filled and I would talk to some of my coworkers on my way to my office. And she started telling me that I had to be in my office with my computer on and ready to go by 8:30. And I could not clock in at 8:30. I had to be in my office already at 8:30. And I said to her, I said, why do I have to do that? For one, I'm clocked in, I'm in the building. Two, you tell me I can't do anything until 9 a.m. Am I just supposed to sit in my office for 30 minutes doing nothing? I'm out here helping in pre op, at least helping them get ready and do stuff while I can. Like, why is that not allowed? So they said, nope, I had to stop doing that. So I stopped doing that. People kept coming to my office. Where are you? We need your help out there. We're drowning. I'm like, oh, talk to the manager. She doesn't want me out there anymore. Like helping you because I can't officially do my job right now.
Mhm. Very
It's just,
typical.
yeah. And honestly, a lot of that is the Scorpio in us. When you have that amount of Scorpio, it really triggers a lot of people because we're the mirrors of the zodiac. And so we mirror back to them things that they're maybe not ready to receive yet or understand about themselves. And so
Mhm.
unfortunately, we get the brunt of that then because they think it's us that's the problem when it's really just them and they're not willing to admit it yet or acknowledge what's going on in their life.
That is literally so real to, like, my life, and I mean, especially professionally, but, like, with my peers and stuff. I do like,
Hmm.
clients, like, never have, like, any type of
Mm-mm.
complex with me. Like, clients are, like, awesome and so kind and, like, not weird. Like, I did not think, like, getting into, like, my field of work that, like, I like, the clients are what's supposed to be challenging, you know?
They're not for me either. I understand that.
No.
The only issue I've ever really had is occasionally I have some people who come in, and I don't know if it's the Leo in me. I don't know if it's if you do human design, the 5-2 that I have, but people come in just literally like, oh, you can fix all my problems. And like, I like some kind of like savior complex toward me. Like I'm like the savior. And when I'm like requiring them to do some hard work because like literally you saved yourself and I'm just like facilitating that, they get so mad.
Mhm.
I've had a few leave because they haven't ever been mad at me or like upset about that. They're just literally like don't want to do the work, and so and I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, if you don't want to do the work, then we're not a good fit because I'm not here to like hold your hand and
Yeah.
tell you it's okay. You don't have to do that.
I have Leo somewhere in my chart. I'm not sure where, but were you saying that that was kind of like Leo energy?
Leo, they see you like as a leader. So yeah, if you have it in a like a planet there, especially, you'll feel that a lot more sometimes where people think that you're just like the person they have been waiting to follow their whole lives. And then when you add in that Scorpio energy, which is really magnetic, they get like really drawn to you and they have that. And then, they sometimes put you up on a pedestal that you really aren't designed to be on, nor do you want to be on, because, I'm not here to be a guru. I don't have that guru energy. Please leave me.
Yeah, yeah. I do get a lot of, like, friends, like, in real life ask me those kind of, like, guru questions, and I don't mind it. I just, like yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, if it's friends and stuff, I don't mind, but if it's like like a client or someone asking about my services who literally is trying to like prop me up on this pedestal as I'm going to be have all the answers and solutions and cures to what ails them, that's a little bit like, yeah, we're not going to work together.
Yeah. I feel like friends put me on a different kind of pedestal, and that's something, like you said, that I really don't like. I don't like being put on a pedestal because, I mean, I guess it kinda like, something I've kind of experienced, I think, is, like, the negative side of pretty privilege, I think. Like,
Mhm.
women just being really mean and stuff like that. I don't really know, but I think that there's definitely a negative side to that.
There can be for sure. There is, that's part of the shadow side too, I think, of like Scorpio is people putting things on you that don't really belong to you, and then you having to try to figure out if
Mhm.
it really does belong to you or not, because you sometimes we take that on too much. Or like, oh, that must really be true, but it's really not. It's just their perception of us. And we just have to keep
Mhm.
reminding myself and other clients that have lots of water in their chart usually, but especially Scorpio, that you're not responsible for other people's perception of who you are. And a lot of it, they're seeing you from their own shadow side and their own wounding and stuff, and you're bringing up things that upset them because they're forcing them to confront this stuff that they're not ready for. And so that can definitely cause some issues sometimes in life.
Yeah, I totally can see that being true. Makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
it can get exhausting sometimes.
Very much so, for sure.
And I find that a lot of the stuff that started like that, like a lot of the wounding that I have from like having all this heavy Scorpio energy actually has come from my family, my parents in particular. Like they really hated me like being such like a mirror and whatnot. And I don't know. There's no way to change it now, obviously, but like now that I'm grown and I've gone to lots of therapy and worked on a lot of things on my own, it's like different. But like when you're a kid and you're just like being you and your parents don't seem to like you for you, it's really hard to like not take that on as like obviously something's wrong with me, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I have a similar experience. I I think it really just disconnects us from self too. And that I mean, that's a root of a lot of our problems is those caregiver relationships and, like, what we are missing there, and I feel like that's a lot of what I do with my clients is, like, helping them find, like, what that is. Because if you don't, it does, like, follow you and almost, like, create these not almost, it literally creates subconscious patterns in life, like,
Mhm.
how our parents were with us, like, even just even if it's not like physical abuse, like emotional neglect is such a huge contributor, or I would even say like predictor of like just serious like detachment from self and like trouble like having enough spoons for life. Like a lot of people that I know that don't have enough spoons, like a lot of times I don't feel like I have a lot of spoons or enough spoons, like it's always back to that, I feel like.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that. My parents very much were very unhealed in like their own childhood issues, so they just like brought that into how they parented. And so yeah, it definitely they were very whether they meant to be or not, it was very abusive and not, a way that was conducive to raising me specifically as a child. And so yeah,
Mhm.
I know I can see it in myself even that a lot of the stuff problems that I had with myself growing up and my issues even today that I struggle with are from like my childhood a lot of times. It's not anything in the recent past. It's like way, way past.
Yeah, definitely. And it becomes really interesting looking at that stuff like when you become a parent too. I don't know if you're a parent, but I have a son and like raising him and having him is what really even like made me look at this stuff in the first place because it used to be like, oh yeah, my family's fucked up, they're crazy. Like one day I'll just grow up and it'll be fine, whatever. And it was so whatever, and then I had a kid, and it was like, "Okay, it's actually not whatever, and I don't actually just grow up." Like, there's so much to unpack here.
Yes. My God, having my kids like literally changed so much things because like growing up, one of my parents' favorite things they like to say to me, and yours might have said something similar, was just wait till you have kids was number one. And then number two was always, I hope you have a kid that behaves just like you so you can see what I've had to go through raising you. And they didn't mean that in a nice way. Like it wasn't like, oh, I really do hope you have a kid like you one day because you're amazing. It was, oh, you fucking suck, and I don't want you to have any kind of peace in life because I'm mad about having to raise you. And um, and then I had my kids, and I'm like, my kids are awesome. They act just like me. And wow, I was actually a really amazing kid. Why were my parents so mad at me all the time? And that actually brought up a lot of stuff that I didn't realize was things I even needed to work on because I'd kind of suppressed so much of it. So then here I am going, "Oh my god, my kid acts just like me." Surprise, surprise. And I was actually a really awesome kid. And then all of a sudden, like little me inside was like, "So why do they hate me? Like if I was this awesome as a kid, what was wrong with me?" And then it like down the rabbit hole again. Parenting opened up so many wounds that I thought I had fixed or healed or whatever, but found out I had literally just stuffed down deep inside. I actually fixed more things in parenting my own kids than I ever did by going to therapy before that.
I agree. I agree. I've done a lot of therapy and none of it really helped until like my therapy started to get like super woo woo, like with my real therapist. And then I was like, this is doing something. That's strange.
Yeah.
So,
My healing actually like skyrocketed when I learned astrology. Like when I looked at my chart after learning, like, I'd gone to a lot of different therapists. Unfortunately, at the time I lived in the deep south, and pretty much every therapist that I could find
yeah.
was all, "Well, you just need Jesus." Mind you, I'm coming in telling them about my in the intake form about my horrible, religiously abusive household growing up and all this religious trauma I have, and their first thing out of their mouths in our first meeting is, "Well, you just need to trust Jesus and all this stuff would go away." And I'm like, "Okay, bye." So I left a bunch of therapy sessions like smack dab in like the middle of the session because I'm like, I'm just not. And so I finally was like, normal, I'm gonna do everything myself fashion because I was the eldest daughter and super independent growing up. I was like, I'll just figure it out myself. So I don't know where it led me to it, but I went to, astrology and started looking into it. And when I looked at my chart from actually really understanding like how you relate to your family via your chart, I realized that I had literally incarnated into this lifetime on purpose at that time with these people for my parents so that I could learn to be the generational like curse breaker in this family and change everything so that my kids and their kids whatever don't have to keep repeating all these cycles and keep coming back to earth to do the same shit over and over again because we haven't learned our lessons. And all of my stuff was like all of my Scorpio was in my fourth house of family and like motherhood especially. And so that's why when I became a mother, like I think I just activated so much because it was just literally meant to be that when I became a mom, that was like, and so
Hmm.
yeah, that actually helped
It's
me way more than any
awesome.
therapy.
Yeah, me too. Like having my kid and like just even like realizing how easy it is to recognize like okay, so it's there's two sides to like my opinion of it. Like partially I really really do forgive my parents and their generation in general because like they didn't have a lot of language for the
Mhm.
things that we're talking about, a general understanding. And imagine it was just they didn't a lot of times they didn't know better or like they couldn't find ways to do better even if they wanted to, just like, you know, so, but the other side of it is like when I had my kid, I find it so easy to be like, okay, well, the ADHD behaviors are popping up. He's expressing ADHD behaviors. Maybe there's something that I can do for his environment that will set him up to not fail in an environment he's set up to fail. And I'm like, it sucks that my parents didn't do that because I'm late diagnosed. And I had to get my own degree, see like a super holistic female doctor. Like I had to do all this stuff just to get a proper diagnosis. And still I'm not even fully there and I'm not really like fully behind diagnosis. But, like, the point being that, like, it's just so easy for me to, like, want to change, like, make adjustments in my
Mhm.
son's life to support him so that, like, like, he feels like he has, like, agency in his own life. Like, I remember, like, begging my dad to, like, think of, like, an alternative way for me to get my high school diploma because high school was awful for me. Like,
Mhm.
all of high school, I begged, "Can I do something else, please, to earn this? Like, I cannot go to this building every day, and I cannot, like," and it was also, like, the time when cyberbullying became, like, birthed onto
Mhm.
earth or whatever, like, so, like, you didn't have any escape from it. Like, it was like I'm having to face, like, my cyber bullies at school who are, like,
Mhm.
tweeting at me to, like, kill myself and stuff. Like, now I have to go to school and, like, show face there. And I begged and begged and begged. I never had any alternatives to anything. And, like, I was misunderstood so much in therapy. So, like, just being able to understand my kid is so meaningful to me.
Mhm.
Like, that is,
Yep.
like, one of the most prized things, like, about like my life is just that, like, I understand where he's coming from and what his needs are because of that,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I feel that, I was late diagnosed. I was 32, 34, somewhere in there when I
Mm.
was diagnosed with ADHD. And I took the test that they made me take. It was like some 3-hour long, like computer test, which right in of itself should be like completely illegal to test for ADHD that way. Um,
Yeah.
but they put me in this room with this computer. All that was in there was the computer on a table. The room was painted this hideous beige color. All you had was like this hard metal chair, and then they took my phone. And I'm like, so I just got to sit here and do what? My brain could not focus. There was nothing to like help me focus. Like I usually play music or I chew gum. They took my gum. I was like not allowed anything. I'm like, what in the world? Y'all are killing me here. I don't have anything to help me, which I guess is technically the point. Yes, but like, girl, it was rough. I don't even know how I made it through the test. Like I literally was so frustrated by the end that I was just like, I don't even know how if
Just
I did.
clicking random things.
Yes,
That
I was just
sounds
like, get me
so
out of here.
counterproductive. That really sounds counterproductive.
It's like, is this how it's supposed to be? Like, you put me in, like, a sensory deprivation tank and are like, "Here, do these, word problems on the screen." Like, I don't know. But it was, like, a lot of, like, you have to, like, read the sentence and then follow the directions, but then they don't repeat the directions ever, so you just have to remember them from screen to screen until you get to the next section that gives you new directions, and by, like, screen number 2, my brain had forgotten where all the directions were, and it wouldn't let you go back, so then it was just a bunch of, like, clicking randomly, hoping that I got it. It was awful. But I got done with it finally, and I like knocked on the door to let them know I was done, like they said. So she comes in, she's like, "Okay, let me go print off the stuff, and then you can go." Hands back my phone, so I'm sitting there waiting. She comes back with a piece of paper with the report printed off. And she's like, "Here, this is your copy of the report." She's like, "Your doctor will call you to schedule a time to go over it with you." I was like, "Okay, great. You can go check out." So I'm standing in the checkout line and I'm looking at this paper, and on the top of it is a little graph that shows you like where you are in relation to like I guess the non ADHD people to like help like
Mhm.
calculate like each thing. So I'm looking,
Mhm.
so and it shows you like your graph is you're supposed to be the dot. So I'm looking, there's no dot on my graph. So the nurse is walking by, so I snag her. I said, "Hey," I said, "I don't have a dot on my graph." And she goes, "Oh, honey, you do." And she points, and it's in the margin all by itself. It's not even on the graph. And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, is that bad? Shouldn't I be on the graph? Why am I not on the graph? So I go to see my doctor in a couple weeks, and he comes in, and the first thing out of his mouth as soon as he opens the door, we've known each other for years. He was being a nurse. I knew a lot of the doctors and stuff that I saw and worked with, so like we were, good. So like he could do this, and I don't think he would ever do it without a patient. But he walks in and he goes, "So, I'm not really sure how you're surviving life over there. You're just raw dogging it." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Your ADHD is so severe." He's like, "I don't know how you've managed to make it this far, keep your kids alive, not kill patients, and still be doing all the stuff that you're doing on the side." He's like, aren't you tired?" I was like, "I've been telling you I'm tired." But yeah, it was that bad. And I'm sitting there going, how did my parents not see this? Like, how am I so severe that my doctor is like literally flabbergasted that I have even survived up into my 30s at this point? And my parents were like, "We don't know. There was nothing wrong with you as a kid. You were just different." Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's just such a gap in awareness, like, in the generations, like,
Mhm.
even, like, a big random part of my journey was, like, I had mold illness, and, like, everyone's looking at me like I'm insane when I'm talking
Mhm.
about it. And I'm like, "No, seriously, like, if there's mold in your house, like, you could actually like, it changes your brain, like, your brain like,
Mhm.
I had every symptom going on, like, my face swelled up, like, it triggered, like, mass system inflammation, like, I was, oh gosh, it was awful. And no one believed me in my life. No one. And no one, like, especially not men and like, especially not like older family members. They're like,
Mhm.
what are you talking about? We all grew up with mold. I'm like, exactly.
This is exactly why you're
Exactly.
acting like you are now, and your brain's not functioning. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, 1000%. Um, it was that way all the time. Like, my parents never believed anything was wrong with me, even when there was, like, actual physical evidence something was wrong with me. I mean, I have a distinct memory of being, like, in 6th grade, so what's that, like, 12-ish, 11, 12-ish, depending on when you went in. I was always, the oldest in the class, 'cause my birthday came so early in the school year, but, like, so, like, 11,
Hmm.
12, and I had gotten a pair of rollerblades recently, and I was going to go outside and try to test them out, right? So I put them on my feet before I went outside, which was mistake number one. But I'm 12, so we don't have the easiest and ability to think through our decisions. So I put them on. I open the door to go out, and my dog decides that she also wants to go out. So she goes barreling past me, and runs into me, shoves me out the door, down our walk, and off the steps, like boom, and I land, not gracefully. I land on top of my right arm. I'm screaming in pain because like my arm is like killing me. My mom comes out there, basically is like, "Oh, you're being dramatic like you always are. Just brush it off and go rollerblading." So I end up rollerblading when my arm is throbbing the whole time. So I'm up and down the sidewalk a little bit. Finally, I just can't take it anymore, so I go inside, and I tell her like, "Mom, my arm is hurting." And it's like you can see that my whole like area in my wrist here is like twice the size of the other one. Says I'm making it up. Just stop being a baby. So that was like a Friday. We happened to have off school, or it was summer. I don't remember, but I remember not being at school. And so like Saturday comes, they ignore me all day Saturday. I'm like crying all day Saturday, trying to explain to how much they make me go on all these errands with them, completely ignoring me. We get to church on Sunday, and my parents' reputation at church was way more important than like anything else in life. So I'm at church sobbing through the entire church service because my arm is like killing me, and now it hurts worse than it has in the last 2 days. And so finally, the end of the service comes, and someone comes up to my mom and is like, "Don't you think you should take care of that poor child of yours? She has cried through the whole service. Something is obviously wrong with her." So, of course, that makes them do something because now their reputation it might be skewed at church. So that she takes me to, I think it was like an urgent care, or maybe it was an ER. I don't remember. I don't know if urgent cares were like a huge thing in the 90s. But anyway, we go, and the doctor takes one look at my arm and takes like one look at me, and I was tears stained, and he's like, "When did this happen?" I was like, "Friday." And he's like, "It's Sunday." And I was like, "I know." And he's like, looks at my mom, "Why didn't you bring her in sooner? I'm pretty sure she's probably been crying about this." She's like, "Well, she's so dramatic all the time." And he's like, "She's dramatic because her wrist is severely sprained." He's like, "And it's already started to heal. So I don't know if it's going to heal correctly because it's healing sideways because you were a neglectful
Hmm.
parent." He's like yelling at her. And she's like, "Well, we just didn't know anything was wrong." He goes, "I'm going to do x-rays because I'm thinking maybe she's fractured it. And since you cared so little about this, that I've got to check everything out now." So I got an x-ray. Thankfully, there was no fracture. It was just a very severe strain and sprain. And so we ended up having to like almost re-sprain it a little bit so that it could get it into like the right shape. And then I had to be in a splint for like 8 weeks because it was so severe. Like nothing would help it. And it was awful. I still have problems with my right wrist today. They still tell
Hmm.
people that I was just super dramatic during that time, and that if, nothing was actually that seriously wrong with me. Like even the doctor
Oh
yelling at them
my
just like
gosh.
didn't get into their head. And I'm sitting there after I have kids going, "What in the world?" Like I have a kid, my kid gets hurt. I'm immediately over there, like, "Oh my God, are you okay? What's going on? Is his leg falling off?" Like let's get this taken care
Hmm.
of. And they were like, "You're being dramatic." I'm like, "I'm being dramatic because I'm in pain." Like, but yeah,
They think
that's
that we're like such a like, pansy generation, but really we're just like attentive to our kids.
yeah. And it's amazing that because I'm attentive to my children, that I have these amazing relationships with these kids. And they still, want to be in our lives. We have two adult kids and we have two like teenagers now. And they literally
Hmm.
like fight over being like in our lives, and fight over like being in each other's lives still, and wanting to spend time together and spend time with us. Like it's, they call us constantly. Like it's such a difference. And they're not calling us because they feel like they have to. They're calling because they want to. And it's such a difference than what I had
That
growing up.
is
And I love it.
so different. That's so
Yes.
different.
Hi, everyone. I are here interrupting your favorite podcast just for a quick little second to let you know about my newest offering that is dropping soon, Cosmic Motherhood. This is for you if you already have a child or children or you're wanting to have some in the future. This program will be designed to help you embrace motherhood for the sacredness that it is, for the changes that come with that, to help you navigate all of those, and to help you know your children better by understanding their cosmic blueprint, how to help them emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically, all the health issues that can come with that as well, based on their medical astrology and more, as well as how to use herbs and other holistic means to treat minor illnesses and injuries at home, empowering you to take back your motherhood journey to make it your own, to make it everything you've ever wanted it to be and not what society says it has to be, and to help you start healing yourself and your family at home. Because when we as women heal ourselves and heal our families, then we are better able to fuck the patriarchy and go out and start helping other people as well and heal our communities. And as we heal our communities, we heal the world. So I would love to have you there. It's Cosmic Motherhood. There is a wait list for you to join if you're interested, and that is at atlaastrology.com/cosmic-motherhood. Again, that's atlaastrology.com/cosmic-motherhood. It'll be in the show notes as well. Come join me for a journey to the depths of your soul and back. Embrace motherhood for everything that you've always wanted it to be, and learn to heal yourself, your children, and eventually everyone around you. I'll see you there.
'Cause I don't call I oh my gosh. I don't call my parents. I'm, like, pretty much, like I don't go to holiday things. I don't oh my gosh, I'm such a black sheep, and everyone hates me for it. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't do any family stuff.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Unless I'm, like, forced, like, I'll go to a funeral, but, like, I will leave early. Like, I can't.
I went to my grandfather's funeral when he died because he was an important person to me. I didn't go because the other family or that I cared about them at all. And I knew they didn't care about me. But I went because I cared about my grandfather and I wanted to be there for that reason. And so I went. Yeah, no, very much that same experience. Black sheep, people gossip about me all the time. I haven't spoken to my own parents in probably almost 9 years now. I had to cut them out of my life because they were just being such horrible human beings. And then when I got married to my husband, it got increasingly worse, to the point that it was just like ridiculous. And my husband's like, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do because it's your family and your life, and I'm not a controlling person. But they're like a cancer in your life. He's like, and I don't think you're going to be able to heal completely like you've been talking about wanting to do until you cut that cancer out. That's just my 2 cents, kind of a thing. And because
Mhm.
I finally had some actual support in my life, I was like, okay, yeah, I think maybe you're right. Let's just do it like temporarily and see. And my life improved so drastically in like the first 2 weeks of not having to feel like I had to be in contact with them all the time or listening to them talk about me how they do or treat me the way they do, that like I've never wanted to go back. So I haven't.
Yeah, good. I mean, I'm still in the undoing process of just like unlearning all the roles that I was assigned as a kid
Hmm.
and even like an adult. Like I'm still trying to find peace with just like, I don't know, just their difficulty. I'm still trying to like, I don't know, cuz even though I'm 30, like, I still, like, feel like I want, like, parents in my life,
Hmm.
you know? And,
Hmm.
like, I know a lot of people our age don't have supportive parents, like, a lot of people I know don't have supportive parents, but a lot of people I know do, and there is, like, so much grief in that, like, especially
Hmm.
when it comes to, like, like, family milestones or, like, holidays for some people. Like, I end up going camping on the holidays, like, even in the winter, so
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
feel like that
no,
says a lot about,
100%.
like, my black sheepish. I'm like, "I'm going off grid. I don't even care that it's freezing. I live in Pennsylvania. Goodbye."
Yeah. No, I feel that. And I think too is like it's still The other thing that makes it hard to do this and maintain it or even heal after you do that is the fact that so much in society, at least in the US where we are, is very much, well, that's your mom, that's your dad. How could you cut them off? You need your parents in your life. And people like literally who've had good relationships with their parents, like shame you for not wanting to be around your parents anymore who do not have a relationship like they have with theirs. And they just don't understand it. And they put that belief that they have onto you instead of using any amount of empathy or sympathy to try to understand that your situation was obviously different. Adult children or children of any age, honestly, but don't go out of their way to cut off parents. It's a biological desire to have a parent in our life and have someone that like that figure, right? And the one
Mhm.
especially that we're biologically related to. Nobody can ever take that place even as much as they try. I've had lots of people in my life that what I consider like a second mom, but it's always that a second mom. They're never like my mom. And it's been almost 9 years, and there's still days. My husband will tell you that I cry over the fact that I'm having something going on in my life and I want a mom to talk to and I don't have one. And it's
Yep,
hard.
that's
And
that sounds like me and
so
my
I'm not
partner.
doing it willingly. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted
Mhm.
to just be an asshole, I would have done it years ago. The fact that I waited until it was literally to my own physical detriment not to do it anymore was a testament that people aren't just willy-nilly cutting off their parents.
It's crazy too because in I feel like in my parents and even in like my like family tree, like there's a lot of estrangement and like, my dad was raised by his grandparents and his parents were around. Like, his grandparents functioned as his parents. And, lots of my mom, like on my mom's side, my aunts and uncles, a lot of their kids don't talk to them.
Mhm.
The opposite is true. I feel like it is really normalized in society, but my family and even like my dad's friends, like when they like, it might be like a little bit of a spectacle sometimes if someone like how dare she, but like there's so much of it around my parents that I'm like,
Mhm.
it takes me a really long time to finally take my side on things. But like when it comes to that, I'm like, look around. Like you don't have a, relationship with like my dad's partner doesn't have a relationship with her daughter. And I'm like, no wonder we're not working. Like, do you not see the pattern? That's literally everyone else around you. Like, I'm
No,
the
they
constant
don't.
scapegoat. I'm the scapegoat in
Mhm.
family, at work. I'm just like, I need to tattoo. Not really, because I don't identify with this. Fuck that. But like, I used to have scapegoat tattooed on my forehead. Like, everything was always my fault. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm just here.
But
That's
yeah.
untrue.
Yeah, I'm just up here living my best life and y'all are making me out to be a villain and I'm just like literally just having a great time. So I don't know what y'all are on about.
Yeah,
But
seriously, because it
literally
takes it
that
takes
is.
so much to not want your parents in your life. It takes so
Yes.
much to get to that point, and it's like, no one would want that. No one would want that.
No.
Like
No one
like,
with,
it's
any
almost
sense.
it's almost like they're projecting, like, being performative onto us when they're
Mhm.
the most performative generation.
Yeah. And honestly, the way my mom talked about her own parents growing up, she called her mother the ice queen. Like, I mean, that right there should tell you the kind of relationship they had, in the fact that it was volatile, whatever, and yet still continued to have a relationship with them no matter how they treated her or my dad or us kids. I mean, I didn't get a relationship with those grandparents, her parents, really at all until I turned 18. They wanted nothing to do with us because they didn't like who my mom had married all those years ago until I turned 18. Then all of a sudden they show up at my graduation, my high school graduation party. I hadn't seen these people in like years. At that point, it had been at least 5 years since we'd really had like any contact with them. Uh, and they just like show up at the party and they're going to, oh yeah, they want my phone number. She's crocheted me a blanket that matches the school colors of the college I chose to go to. I was like, she's gonna be in my life. Oh, we want to come visit you while you're in college. I looked at him. I said, why? Like, why? I don't even know you. Why? It's like me inviting a stranger I met on the road to come visit me at on my college campus. Why would I have you come visit me? And they acted like I was the crazy one because I was stating this fact that like I don't understand what you're doing. And that was the kind of relationship but they still forced a relationship with that side of my family, even though that side of my family obviously wasn't anything you should probably want to force a relationship with it. They've been awful people for years. Nothing has changed. Um, when I got my divorce in 2015 from my ex-husband, they literally stopped speaking to me. They sent me what I called hate packages. instead of care packages, they would send me packages with CDs from their church of sermons about how I was sending my kids to hell because I was getting a divorce and it's against the Bible to do that. Um, and so they stopped speaking to me because of that. And I just found out that this year we're having some kind of family reunion they want to do because now they're getting old and they miss all their family. And for some ungodly reason, they invited me. And I'm like, bitch, you don't want me showing up to your party because at this point, I'm perimenopausal. I have 4 kids that I love and I would do anything for. So if you say anything to them, that'll get me off. I have a husband who don't play about me. So if they say something and I don't get to them first, you don't want him getting to you, but he will. And I'm like, you don't want me showing up because I'm to the point now where I have no fucks left to give. And I don't care if I blow this whole family up and I will just tell you exactly what's what. So I don't know why you invited me, but my sister called to tell them that she wasn't coming. And they were like, and then she told him while she's on the phone because she knew I would never call. She's like, oh, and by the way, like, Iyer's not coming either. And they were like, well, Iyer just keeps making all the wrong choices. And my sister's like, well, do you blame her? She doesn't want to be around you guys because you're mean as hell to her. She goes, I wouldn't want to either if I were her.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, our family reunion is not going to be the same without her. And she's like, always, my sister's like, how is it her fault that your family reunion is going to be blown to smithereens if she doesn't show up to it? Like, Sheila, trust me, you don't want her to show up to your party, Grandma. You don't want her there. She's like, because
It's that
she's,
Scorpio. We tell the
yeah,
truth and people hate it. And
yeah.
they make
And
you
that
so
family really hates it.
uncomfortable. Yeah, my
Yes.
family hates it too.
My family's all super religious too, and that side especially has decided that somehow, despite this not being mentioned in the Bible, you can attain sinless perfection while you're on earth, still in your human body. And they have done so. And that's why I'm the problem, because I haven't reached that level of, I guess, like enlightenment yet. And so I need to come to Jesus and, ask for forgiveness and then live my life in such a way that I can also attain sinless perfection. And then I guess we can be family again. I don't know what their reasoning is behind that, but I have asked them several times. You realize that's not in your Bible, right? So, where are you getting that thing from? Like, where are you getting that you
Yeah.
can attain sinless perfection? Please show me in your book where this is found. And they can't because it doesn't exist. And I'm just like, and so they don't like me being around because I just say the truth. I ask questions and I don't
We
care if
ask
it blows up the
questions
family.
that other people don't ask. They like don't even have the
Hmm.
capacity to ask themselves the question that we're asking everyone.
Yeah. And that's what gets me in trouble at work a lot of times too, is I would ask the questions that everybody else was thinking and would say it later in private, but would never actually say out loud. And I'm like, fuck this, I want to have an answer. So I would ask it in the meetings. And I got in trouble so many times for just asking what I felt were common sense questions that needed to be answered for the stuff that you were asking us to now do. Like,
Yeah.
if you want me to implement this, then why are we implementing this? Like, the
Right.
reasoning you're
Like,
using is not appropriate and it's going to harm people, so why are we doing it?
yeah. And it's literally like in your job description that you should be doing what you're doing. And you're like, I'm just following my job description.
Right? I'm
Like,
advocating for my patients that you guys are actively trying to harm. Is that not
yeah,
what I'm
they
supposed to
hate
do?
that. No, they hate that so
Yes.
bad.
Oh, yeah.
Mm. Oh my gosh, the like gaslighting, like advocating for your patients, like as a group or even like individually. Like, I
Mhm.
just the situations that like corporate mental health had me in with my patients was just horrible. Like, people having to go to the hospital and not being allowed. Like, just the position that I'm in at that point where I'm like, I'm literally watching my patient like deteriorate in front of me. Like, at what point can they go? Like, this is supposed to be my patient, you know?
Right.
And
So if you don't trust my judgment, why'd you hire me?
right, exactly,
I literally said that to
exactly.
them once. If you don't trust my judgment on taking care of my patients, then why did you hire me? Like, you shouldn't hire people that you don't trust to take care of the patients in an appropriate manner. So if you feel from the interview that I couldn't do that, then why'd you hire me? Why are you second guessing my expertise?
Because just like in a dysfunctional family, you're not quiet.
Yeah. Hmm. That's all it is. They
Yeah.
don't want people that ruffle the feathers, that make anything, that shed light on any of the stuff that they're trying to keep hidden in the dark. And unfortunately, with us being like those mirrors of the zodiac, we shine lights everywhere, whether we want to or not.
Mhm.
It just happens. I mean, I was
Yeah.
working in a hospital during COVID, and they actually came out at one point during the whole like ordeal of changing every day. It was something different that we were supposed to be doing that now was going to keep us safer than yesterday. And it was every day was something different. Like every time I came to work, they were like, "Why aren't you doing this?" And I'm like, "Because I've been off for 3 days." "What do you mean we were doing this when I left 3 days ago?" "Oh no, now we're doing this." And it was just all over the map. But the one thing that really got to me and that I spoke up about, which got me in trouble, was the fact that they started stating that anything that they called an AGP, which was an aerosolizing generating procedure. So basically, like nebulizers, when you're given a nebulizer treatment, it creates like aerosol that comes out into the air, right? If you're doing anything like that in a patient's room, then you had to wear an N95 because they suddenly claimed that these AGPs, as they called them, were going to spread COVID. So I raised my hand. And they call on me, and I said, "So does the patient in the other bed," because we had semi-private rooms, "have to also wear an N95 during these AGPs if they're not receiving the procedure?" "No." And I said, "Okay, so then answer me this. Do our curtains that divide the room, are they magical COVID killing curtains?" I said, "Do they protect the patient on the other side from getting COVID during these AGPs?" And they looked at me and they said, "Well, no." And I said, "Okay, then why don't they have to wear an N95? Why is it only I have to wear an N95? And why is it if the nurse taking care of that other patient, who, if I don't have the same patients in the same room, sometimes you didn't, it would sometimes be split. If the patient nurse comes in while I'm doing an AGP in bed 1 and she has to wear an N95 to go see patient in bed 2, why doesn't the patient in bed 2 have to have one on? These are your rules and you're contradicting yourself. So either it's giving us COVID or it's not. Which one is it?" And they were like, "Well, it just they don't have to wear one." And you stop asking questions. You're creating problems. I said, and everyone started going, "No, wait, I have a question too about this. What do you mean the patient doesn't have to wear it?" Like they started and questioning it. And yeah, we literally they ended up killing the policy within like a day after we all like made an uproar about it, and suddenly they claimed it wasn't an issue anymore. No one had to wear N95s. And I was just like, but did you guys not think through that at all? Like, that's what I said. Do we have magical COVID killing curtains? I would really like to know, because if we've had these the whole time, you mean I could have gotten away with not having to wear an N95 this whole time because I could just go stand in a room behind a curtain and be magically protected? It was just, the whole thing was just ridiculous to me. And yeah, they did it like it. I left not too long after that whole thing because I was appalled with how they treated us during an actual pandemic and didn't care about the staff or the patients.
Yeah. Thankfully, I didn't work in a hospital, I think, until I think 2021 or 2022? I guess it was 2022 when I worked in the hospital for the first time, but they did everything. I I'm, like, not even I can't even get into it. They were so bad. I'll
Mm-hmm.
say this. They're in a mass class action lawsuit, like a huge class action lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
not even in like, I'm not involved in the lawsuit, like, I haven't, like, talked to lawyers or anything, because it's for patients against staff, but there's been so many facilities, like, where I live, there was another one that was closed down for a similar, issue, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy
it's absolutely
disgusting.
key. Yeah.
Yeah.
The business of healthcare in America is neither about health nor care. It's about profits, and they're not actually here to truly help people. And it's part of the reason why I had to get out and leave nursing, was because I felt like the part of the oath that I took in nursing school that said do no harm was no longer applying. I was only causing harm. And if it wasn't me
Mhm.
causing it, I was a party to it, which makes it just as bad in my eyes that I was a part of that system that was actively systemically harming people, especially women and people of color. And I just could not do it anymore. I was like, I cannot actively be a part of this, where I have literally throwing my job on the line every day, advocating for my women and my POC patients, because you're not treating them exactly the same as you are everybody else. And I cannot function in a system any longer that purposely goes out of the way to harm people and doesn't care about the consequences and what happens when you do that. I couldn't do it. And all I felt like, I told people, like, "What do you do for a job?" "Oh, I'm a legalized drug dealer." And they were like, "What?" what do you mean you're a legalized drug dealer? I'm like, because all I was doing was pushing meds all day long. There was no holistic care like I was trained in. There was no actually helping people. It was, oh, you're having a side effect from this med that we started you on yesterday. Here's a pill to stop the side effect from that pill. But, there was no like, well, let's figure out something else to do, or let's, figure out why it's causing the side effect. There was no root cause anything. It was, oh, here, just take these pills and get out of our sight. And I just couldn't do it anymore.
What's awful is it was exactly the same for me, but I worked in a psychiatric hospital. So it was like, we're not going to do any real therapy with you. We're just going to
Hmm.
let you get to sedation level crisis every single day. That was same thing. I mean, I wasn't allowed to push the meds, but I was supposed to restrain people until the meds arrived. And I could no longer, I couldn't operate at that
No,
place any longer.
it
Like
creates a
I
moral
yeah.
injury. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't learn about that until, like, I got into therapy after the fact. Me
Hmm.
and my therapist have talked about that a lot.
And that's something people don't, when they don't work inside the healthcare system here in America, they don't truly understand. They're like, my nurse wasn't compassionate. My social worker treated me like crap. The therapist barely looked at me. It's because we are literally barely surviving in there ourselves, and we've lost any ability to truly connect with human beings a lot of times while you're in that
Mhm.
position, because you have to keep yourself so walled off so that you can keep functioning and you can go home to your families. And trust me, none of us wanted to be there. I know I didn't want to be the cranky nurse, no one wanted, but I was just to the point where I just literally, coming to work every day was severely detrimental to my mental health, my physical health. I started having all kinds of health problems that like I've never had in my life. That like the doctor was like, "Dude, if you don't quit nursing, like it's literally going to kill you. Like your body is trying to tell you something and you're completely ignoring it." And I'm like,
Mhm.
I've only ever done stuff in healthcare. I have no idea how to be anything else. I started as a CNA at the age of 17 while I went through nursing school. Like, I don't know any other career. Like, what do you mean I got to do something else? I have no other marketable life skills. I'm like, you're not helping me here, dude. Like, I don't know what to do. And that was like in 2019, and I started building my business up. I had it kind of on the side, and I told Spirit, I was like, okay, look, if I got to get out of this, then you got to give me a path, because I don't see a way at all this is going to happen. So y'all got to like show it to me or just make it appear. I don't know, throw me off a cliff, whatever works. Just give it to me. And they did. It wasn't easy, but I was able to retire in 2023 from nursing. And I've just been like, I'm not going back. I hate this fucking place.
That's awesome. It's really weird how, like, the universe or whatever, like, placed things because I had no intention of becoming an entrepreneur when I, like, became a certified life coach. I had no intention. I don't even know why I took the course. I just was like,
Right?
what's the difference? Like, what does a life coach do? Like, I was already in school to be a counselor, so I was like, what's the difference? And I just like nerded out and took an entire course. And at the end, I had a piece of paper. I was like, okay, I guess that's cool. I won't ever need that. And then, like, a couple years later, I'm like, this is not sustainable. I have to go. And
Yeah.
now that's like,
Here we are.
yeah, here we are. I'm like, thanks for making sure I had that.
Yeah.
That's
See, the
cool.
thing was, is you're right. I'd kind of forgotten too that I had done this, because you just do things sometimes, especially with like ADHD, we like to learn. So we'll go get like a bunch of certifications and forget that we even have them. I had gone and gotten 3 degrees in herbalism, girl, like already. I was like, what do you mean? Sierra's like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? Like, go do that. Like, you have,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. I do have a degree or two in that. Like, why can't I do that? So that's kind of where I started,
Hmm.
was I started doing that. Instead, I went down the herbalism route for a while. And then, then they told me, hey, you do medical astrology. Why are you pretending that you don't? And that's what you're doing to make sure that all these remedies work for your clients so well. So now, why are you hiding that? And so, down another path, and here we are today. But yeah, like it's absolutely crazy how like we'll do stuff and I have no idea why I'm doing this. I just want to. And then later Spirit's like, hey, remember that course I had you take 6 years ago? You're like, oh yeah.
You're like, "Oh, yeah." That's so funny. I forget the one thing that you said that, like, I really just, like, resonated with. It just made me giggle. I forget what it was, something you just said, but made me giggle.
Yeah, I just love how I don't know, and I see it happen with a lot of people who are neurodivergent, that we forget all of the stuff that we really are good at and that we know and that we have like degrees in and stuff, that like, no, we are actually really good at this. Like, I have a whole degree
Yeah.
in this. What do you mean I don't know what I'm doing? And we don't give ourselves enough credit. I think a lot of that does come from a lot of that childhood wounding where we kept hearing how,
Mhm.
awful we were at things. But Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't believe in ourselves, and that was the part that I really resonated with that you said. It was like,
Mhm.
why are you pretending that you didn't do that? Why are you pretending that you don't have that, or that you're not good at that, or like you don't have like a special understanding of that? Like there's been so much unpacking of that, and it is due to just like no one listening, no one believing. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
just so literally tangible in that story of your wrist, like
Yes.
no shit, we don't like trust our gifts because we can break our arm right in front of you and you be like, you're fine. And then we're
There's
like,
nothing
how is
wrong with you.
anyone? And then we get like an abstract idea. It's like, there's no way that'll ever fly because like the real things don't even fly. You know what I mean? Like, not like that's unreal, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, the tangible things aren't working. So why would these spiritual
Yeah,
gifts that we have work? I mean, obviously we're crazy. And yeah, it's so that's
obviously.
been a journey in and of itself too, is because I also grew up in a on top of all that, I grew up in a super religious household where intuition was literally killed, right? They were like, "Oh, we don't use that. That's of the devil. We don't do things like that. That's of the devil." I didn't have a TV till I was like 12 because it was going to invite the devil into our house, you know? So like it was really rough growing up in that, and literally all of my gifts that I have that I now use in my business, but I had to go like find them again and learn how to use them because I'd had
Yeah,
them my whole life, but I'd had to suppress all of them until I was like able to get out of that environment completely. And that wasn't until my early 20s. So then all the stuff starts coming up. Girl, I thought I was having a psychotic breakdown. I'm like, why am I hearing voices? I'm having schizophrenia. I'm too young for schizophrenia, but that's what it has to be because that's the only thing I've ever heard about hearing voices. No, it was just my intuition and my spirit team coming online and my clair audience showing up that hadn't been used in years. And so it was like scary at first. Then I started feeling like, well, I don't feel like weird with this. And I don't feel like they're telling me to do things that are harming other people. So maybe it's not schizophrenia. What is it? You know?
I went down that pipeline as well, and I thought I actually went as far as finding that borderline personality disorder. Sometimes we like people who have borderline personality disorder can have hallucinations. So I actually had a session with my therapist where I was like, I have BPD. I'm seeing shadow people. I'm hallucinating. I need strong medication for my BPD. And that's when my therapist was like, actually, you're having these clairs come online. That's what my therapist said to me. I said, well, I feel like we're like teetering on like malpractice. Like, aren't you a therapist? Are you allowed to say that? I was in school to be a therapist at the time. I was like, whoa, you can't say that. I just wasn't ready. I just
Yeah.
wasn't ready. But
No.
I mean, that stuff went away. Like, as soon as I started working on like my own psychic development and even just like my soul, like as soon as like I started like just acting as if I had a soul and that like maybe even there was some soul wounding going on, as soon as I started
Hmm.
acting like that, all of those things that scared me went away, and like I had clearer messages. Like I don't really
Huh.
practice mediumship or really much psychic stuff, but like it just so much clarity after that.
Hmm. Yeah. It's amazing how that works. And I was like, where has this been my whole life? And I'm like, well, I've had it, but I remember that it was, not allowed. We were going to question things too much at church and they were going to lose
Mhm.
followers. And that was more important, to have these, brainwashed followers than it was to actually teach people, to be who they are and to embrace it. And there was a lot of fear in my household growing up of anything that was different, and I think that's part of what it
Mhm.
was. I was afraid of being different, but I already felt different because I was. And it was really hard to accept even when I found out that why I was different, I even accept it as being okay because it was like it's been demonized my whole life that, if I'm doing this, then this is going to happen. And it took me a really long time to realize that if I did communicate with my spirit team, I'm not just going to suddenly poof out of existence and wind up in hell. So we can do that. It's okay.
Mhm.
And it took a
Yeah.
while, but now I do it all the time and it doesn't even bother me. And I'm like, why was I ever worried about this? But yeah, I can see why, looking back, obviously. But
Yeah. It takes a lot of unlearning and stuff. It's been quite a journey.
it has been. It has been. And on that note, we are over time. So tell everybody how to find you and where they can, see about your services and possibly working with you.
And my Instagram, I have a couple of them. It's Radiant Path Soul Care or Radiant Path Alchemy, I believe. And then my personal is Planty Yinzer. Can find me on there. I'm also on YouTube. I am going to be posting more on there, like stuff like this. That's also Radiant Path Wellness. And then my how to work with me, there's links. I use Stan Store right now, so those links are in all of my profiles. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
Yes, thank you. It's been a joy to have you here. I love where these go because they never go where I would ever expect them to, but it's always what we needed and what Spirit wanted to put out there. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you being here. I will talk to you guys later. Love and light. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Alchemy, Astrology, and Astro Health. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I enjoyed making it. You can find all relevant links to today's show in the show notes below. If you loved the show today, please subscribe, follow, and leave me a review. I love to hear your thoughts, and it helps me know what is a hit and to make more of that content, especially for you. If you want to learn more about me and how I can help you, head over to atlaastrology.com. There you can sign up for a medical astrology package, download my free Sun Sign in Your Health ebook, read the blog, and so much more. If you want to connect more outside the podcast, follow my Instagram channel @AtlaAstrology or join my Astro Connection community, the link to which you can find in the show notes. Until next time, love and light.